Ladies,
the sun is shining,
the pina coladas are flowing,
and everybody's headed to the beach. You know what that means.
It's time for some fun in the sun?
No, it's time to work on your bikini body. Before you slip into your swimsuit, you could start a grueling workout routine and manipulate your natural shape and skin tone to reach for an unattainable and oppressive idea of perfection.
Last thing I remember, I was down on one knee, waiting on an overflowing glacier of a woman. First thing they teach you when you're a rookie shoe salesman is when you got a fat one in the chair, never look up. I looked up, Peg. I saw underwear. It said Saturday.
So what?
Today's Wednesday.
Catapulted to fame when a video of her was posted online. Self-professed fat dancer Whitney Thor is leading the way for body acceptance, one energetic routine at a time. The radio producer was catapulted.
I've only won them once, and they split at the sides.
Well, let me explain. See, it's just like an elevator. There's a 2-ton weight limit on this shit.
So a side effect of this glorification of very specific body types is the idea that fat bodies are unattractive, unappealing. On the opposite end of this, a lot of people argue against the existence of thin privilege because very thin bodies are also stigmatized in a sense.
A fat woman creatured her way into the shoe store today.
Guess what happened today at the shoe store?
Did a fat woman come in?
Enormous.
But yet at the same time, we live in a world that is not made for people who are fat. Airplanes, buses, chairs in people's homes. It must be difficult.
It is difficult, and those are the things that we are seeking to change. We're changing the paradigm that we are not the problem. The problem is that our world doesn't accommodate a diversity of bodies. So that's what we need to change, not so much changing who we are and changing our body, but instead changing society.
Safety first. Oops. I'm tired of you stealing my life. I'm tired of you making me feel if I'm good or bad. I'm tired of you deciding how my day is. No more of you deciding my life. No more of you stealing life from me. This is it. I take back my life. I'm in control. I decide if I'm good or bad. Not you. I deserve a great life. This is about me. This isn't about you.
They say I'm chubby.
Uh-oh, we singing.
But I really don't care.
Uh-oh.
I'm body positive.
They'll try to shame you, but you can't give a damn.
Your body's your prerogative.
Stay body positive.
The thicker your thighs are, the more room you have for kittens and puppies to sit in your lap.
This attitude, you're gonna be working here for the rest of your life.
Well, take a gander into the seat next to you if you want to see what your future looks like.
Come, Penelope. Let's go someplace where they treat us with respect.
Try the moon, you'll weigh less there.
Today, Mum Sharon is also unemployed and on benefits. She feels trapped in a hopeless situation.
Cut down on the food, don't eat, don't, overdo on the crisps and the chocolate and everything like that.
Together, they receive nearly 1,200 quid in handouts every month, including £400 housing benefit to pay the rent. And yet for Amy, coming off benefits and finding a job is almost impossible.
They don't fit. And your ad said we fit every foot.
Yes, ma'am, but our problem is what we're dealing with is not what Webster meant by feet. Now, let's face it, girls, what we've got here are rib roasts with nails. Now, what I would suggest is surrounding your Tootsies with those little brown potatoes wrapped in foil and served with dry wine.
These shoes make me look fat. Be honest.
No, they make you look very fat.
Just about had enough of you.
Well, you wouldn't say that if I came with fries and a medium drink. You know medium, the size between small and you.
What size am I?
Well, I'm no expert, but from where I sit, I'd say too big for shoes.
Making this video because it's really sad, it's stupid, it's getting old that people are saying that I'm dead. It's retarded. And so what if I'm fat? I'm fat, fuck it. Oh well, and your point is, I don't give a fuck. I'm not dead, I'm just fine, and I posted this video because I've got people PMing me, telling me, post a video, prove that I'm alive. Well, I'm alive, alright? Love, peace, and applesauce, baby.
You heard that right. How is a woman supposed to say body positive these days when they're ass exposing, plastic titted clones everywhere, taking a shit all over the female ego? Photoshop, corsets, and Botox, oh please. And then there are mixed signals everywhere telling you to just be you. But look like this. Love yourself. But look like this. Be body positive. But only if you look like this.
I'm not sure I like this shade of blue.
I'll tell you what I'll do then. We'll stand you in front of a mirror. I'll begin strangling you. When you reach the shade of blue that is satisfactory to you, you yell moo and I'll stop.
In a world full of fantasy expectations, medically enhanced beauty, and 1,000 get-fit quick schemes, we're here to tell you that the world is fucked up.
I think one of the prevailing things that are happening here is that what I'm hearing is this intense sort of discussion around self-hatred and when you're in a bigger body. And I wanted to ask people, like down the front there, you who's 20, is your life better? Are you happier? Is everything better now that you're slightly smaller than you were before? I mean, I think one of the things
let's get an answer to the question. Are you?
Absolutely. And I'm not a little bit smaller, I'm a lot smaller. And I did do research into everything. I can still have kids, and that may not have happened if I had stayed the size I was. Like, my question to you is, can you honestly say that you are 100% happy and healthy? Like, you have no medical conditions whatsoever, you have no problems at all with your health? At your weight as compared to...
Can we have an answer? No. The question's been asked. What's the answer?
I think it's really interesting that I feel like I need to justify my existence in this room.
No, but hang on a minute. You asked her to justify her decision.
I asked her if she was happy. I didn't ask her to justify what her health issues now or if there is any.
But have you got any health issues?
No, I'm perfectly happy.
I'd love to know, like, what do you see as healthy with eating?
Yeah, it's interesting that you've just assumed that I eat bad food because of my size.
I'd love to know, because if you're really healthy, do you have any joint issues, or so you're completely...
I swim 2.5 kilometres a day. I walk, I exercise all the time. I am in a synchronised swimming team, and I really resent the fact that I have to actually justify my existence and my ability to live in the world in a bigger body in a way that I'm happy with.
But we're all talking about health tonight. I mean, the whole show is about weight and health.
No,
so it's not an unreasonable...
About is surgery, and we haven't actually talked about the possibility that you can actually live in your life.
No, but we have.
This body.
We have talked about that. But all I'm saying is that a question to anyone about what they eat in the context of this program, anyone in this room, is perfectly reasonable, I think.
But it's interesting that they've only been directed at fat people.
No, it's not about being fat or not being fat. It's about what everybody eats. Well, it's about what everybody eats and what health is. What health
you're conflating
No, I'm not conflating anything. I'm saying I think it's perfectly reasonable in the context of a discussion where you've got research that suggests that people who are overweight and people who are obese can be more prone to particular health problems. I think it's quite reasonable in that context when we're talking about diet, we're talking about losing weight, gaining weight, whether people are happy or not.
I support the feminist goals because it's the right thing to do. Women ought to be treated equally. The benefits that come to me because friends who are women and colleagues get promoted too. The benefits that I get because my relationships, both with men, because I can be close with another man, I could walk hand in hand with him, and I'm feeling an incredibly close and good connection, but I'm not worried about somebody saying I'm gay.
I don't think you're gay, but you seem to be more woman than you are man. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
All of your qualities are that of a woman. You don't have any manly qualities. And you don't even seem to know what they are.
Give me pounds, give me dollars, give me francs, yeah. Straight to the bank, yeah. Fuck your change, cause the product is a thing, yeah.
Hi, first of all I'd like to say thank you because I used to be a huge feminist and an SJW, and listening to you speak like completely flipped my views, and now...
Thank you. Thank you.
And my question is, I'm 14 and I was wondering how I could help my peers and people my age get interested in politics.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. I used to advise young people to keep their heads down and to go through education for an easy life, get your degree, and do your activism later in life. Because they're going to come for you, they're going to ruin your education, they're going to mark you down in exams, they're going to give you a hell of a time. I don't do that anymore. Now I say, raise merry hell. And I mean merry hell. I use the word merry advisedly because you have to, it's laughter and war. Risus et bellum is my motto. And I think as long as you're keeping people laughing, as long as what you say is twice as funny as it is offensive, you can get away with doing almost anything.
It's hard to just sleep when you're tired, because people are tired most of the time.
Gosh, I love you so much.
Oh, thanks.
Can I give you a hug?
No, thanks.
Please?
No, thanks.
A little one.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Oh.
Barack Obama made it known that he was a weak male, and by saying that he was the first feminist president. And you know you got to be weak.
Feminist makes you a weak man.
Because men are not feminist. But I do want to say.
Wait, Jesse, wait. You are against the idea that men and women should have equal opportunities in the workplace? You're against the idea of that men and women should have equal access and equal opportunities. You're against that because that's what it means to be a feminist.
Oh,
if you're a man who believes that women can do everything that men can do and should get paid for the work they do and can be scientists and can be president even, if you're for that, you're saying you're a weak man?
You know, in theory that maybe, but in practice, that's not what it really means. And I hear a lot of conservative women speaking out against the feminist movement today, and they, as I have seen, hate men. You know, they hate the order of life, so they're going after these jobs and whatever they're doing. Not because they really believe that it's a discrimination thing happening, but because they hate men.
Hi, Milo. Judith Island here from the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. You've talked earlier in your speech about how women essentially don't have anything left to complain about, and there's been a great victory with feminism. I'm just wondering what you make of the continued high rates of domestic violence and sexual assault around the world. Obviously, Harvey Weinstein's brought that to the fore. We've had a breakfast this morning here at Parliament about domestic violence. 1 in 3 women over 15 years of age in Australia experience physical violence, 1 in 5 sexual violence. What's your response to that? Is that not something still worth fighting for?
Well, those same studies, which are never quoted in full, show that men are just as bad victims of domestic violence as women are, by the numbers. So I don't think that we have a gendered problem. I think that activists from the left-wing press are determined to present it as a gendered problem, determined to drive a wedge between the sexes. Oh, poor women, victimhood narrative. I don't see it that way. I think there is a violence problem, a domestic violence problem, but all of the serious crimes against women have been falling for decades in the West. Rape rates have been collapsing in the West for 40 years. And instead of being proud of it, you've asked your question. Instead of being proud of it, feminists pretend that there is now a rape culture on college campuses where 1 in 3 women is a victim of rape. They're not. To believe that, you would have to believe that college campuses are as dangerous for women as the Congo, where rape is used as a weapon of war. These numbers don't even stand up to common sense scrutiny. You know, they propel these myths about the wage gap, which are based on bogus economics. If you look deeper and further into the numbers, and they're always buried in there somewhere as dishonestly as the pieces are written, you discover that actually, you know, for everything that isn't perfect in our civilization, which comes from the way that men and women are different and interact differently, and sometimes there are differences in the things that one gender has to cope with versus the other, you find actually that men have just as much to deal with as women do. Women are judged relentlessly on their looks, but men are judged relentlessly on how much money they make and how successful they are. Women are... Excuse me, thank you. You know, rape rates have been collapsing for 30 years. We should be hugely proud of that, but feminists lie about it and claim that we're experiencing some sort of explosion of bad behavior towards women. I think it's probably because they think the rest of us are like their men. They think we're all Wieners, Weinsteins, and Spaceys. Well, libertarian and conservative guys I know are pretty respectful of women. It's your guys who aren't. I understand why Hillary Clinton and Huma Abedin have low opinions of men. They think men are like their husbands.
Hey everyone!
I just wanna be the one you love. I just wanna be the one you love.